Bliss Podcast. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, my name is Maicheya Rishi Dasa. I'm coming at you live from Bliss, London, Waterloo. I'm here with Purijit Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Purijit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Very nice being with you today. Locked down here in a prison cell of one's own apartment and broadcasting the last drops of instruction from Srila Prabhupada into the entire world to all the 5 viewers that we have. Bliss Podcast. Jai.
Yeah, I'm also in a prison cell. A prison cell within a prison cell. I'm in a material body inside this little room in London, trapped.
There are these Russian dolls, the matryoshkas. There's you open the big one,
big fat
there's a
doll.
small one,
Yeah.
and then there's even smaller one, a smaller one until eternity. No, I'm just kidding.
Until you get to the Paramatma one, the one that's sitting on the heart. So anyway, yeah, we're stuck here, and we're waiting till the world ends, and we're just studying and trying to figure out actually what is going on, and how to survive.
By the way, the world will not end according to the Vedic scriptures. We still have 427,000 years until the end of Kali Yuga, the worst degraded age. So get ready for a party.
It's already getting so bad, and it will actually get worse. Oh yeah, you better believe it. What some of the things you can look forward to in this upcoming Kali Yuga? You can look forward to eating your own children. Yum.
If you don't chant Hare Krishna, of course, because if you chant Hare Krishna, you join this Hare Krishna movement, you go back home, back to Godhead. Ki.
Jai. Immediately out of this mess. A very nice prospect. Okay, so now the topic of this week's podcast is not actually so doom and gloom. It's more doom and gloom. So we're going to be discussing a very important topic. Like we say when we go and distribute books on the streets, transcendental knowledge books on the street, we give this line. This talks about karma and reincarnation. And so that first term, karma, is very important. This is, how do you say, foundational topic of understanding. It's very scientific. It's very observable. And even though people are very fond of using the term, they actually have no idea what it means, its implications, or how it works at all. So we thought we would present what Srila Prabhupada has brought us from the Vedic factual understanding of karma and consequently reincarnation and all these this particular category of topics, which are all presented very clearly from the Vedas.
Prabhupada writes in his Nectar of Devotion, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that one should surrender unto Him, giving up all other engagements. The Lord also gives His word that He will protect surrendered souls from the reactions of all sinful activities. Srila Rupa Goswami says that the distresses from sinful activities are due both to the sins themselves and to sins committed in our past lives. Generally, one commits sinful activities due to ignorance. But ignorance is no excuse for evading the reactions. Sinful activities. Sinful activities are of two kinds, those which are mature and those which are not mature. The sinful activities for which we are suffering at the present moment are called mature. The many sinful activities stored within us for which we have not yet suffered are considered immature. For example, man may have committed criminal acts but not yet been arrested for them. Now, as soon as he is detected, arrest is awaiting him. Similarly, for some of our sinful activities, we're awaiting the stresses in the future, and for others, which are mature, we are suffering at the present moment. In this way, there is a chain of sinful activities and their concomitant distresses, and the conditioned soul is suffering life after life due to these sins. He is suffering in the present life the results of sinful activities from his past life, and he is meanwhile creating further sufferings for his future life. Mature sinful activities are exhibited if one is suffering from some chronic disease, if one is suffering from some legal implication, if one is born in a low and degraded family, or if one is uneducated or very ugly. End of quote. So here Srila Prabhupada explains a very important point. People are engaged in sinful activities due to ignorance. They don't know, actually. I didn't know what was sinful, what was, before I read Srila Prabhupada's books, I thought that sin was just some kind of a brainwash idea to control people, make them feel guilty for no reason. So this is number one problem, that people don't understand that there is such a thing as a sin. And they're not interested because they think that, well, ignorance is bliss. If I don't know, then I can always say that, oh, I didn't know. Right? Ignorance means you ignoring the knowledge. But ignorance is not an excuse, as Prabhupada says. Ignorance simply means that you're trying to avoid the understanding, the knowledge. It is the duty of every human being to understand what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is not. So that's why the scriptures are here. In any religion, there's a set of rules, a scripture that tells you what to do, what not to do. And a human should be very concerned. He should be educated about what to do and what not to do. Just like in a country, in a state, it is the duty of the citizen to understand the law. It is not an excuse to say, well, I didn't know this was illegal. The judge, if a person is arrested, the judge will not excuse him. Oh, that's okay, he didn't know, it's fine. He killed 300 people with a knife. So that's okay because he didn't know. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, well, he didn't know, so that's okay. Go on, my boy. Go on. No, the judge will say that is your duty as your citizen. You have certain privileges living in a society, right? We all depend on one another. We depend on our parents. We depend on the society, people who bring us food, those who are growing the food, those who are taking care of the roads, those who are even bringing the internet to your place so you can hear me speaking. Without people around us, we wouldn't be able to exist in one sense, right? So we're depending, and because we're depending, we have a duty to understand, or I would say, we're bound to understand what is our duty towards the society. Just like Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, his duty was to protect the weaker section. As a kshatriya, as a politician, his duty was to protect the citizens from aggressors. So everyone has a particular duty towards the society, and that's where the law of karma comes into place. You should do your duty rightly, not like a nonsense, and become implicated and create more and more suffering. We can't just say, well, it's good for me, so it must be good because I feel it's good. These are brainless philosophies introduced by brainless people to divert one from the path of self-realization. So number one enemy of a human being is ignorance. And second of all is there's a difference between the sinful activities that we're suffering in this life. We're undergoing some tribulation, some pain, some suffering. And while we're suffering, we're committing more sinful activities, which will be punished for in our future lives. So it is a very precarious condition. If someone asks, why do I need this? Why do I need to listen to your stupid podcast? Or why do I need to, read these books? Why do I need to concern myself with God and Krishna and this and that? I just live. I do my own thing. I'm not harming anyone. Live and let live. That is my philosophy. This is the reason. you don't know what is actually right. If you simply create your own idea of good and right, that itself is criminal and punishable by the law of karma. And second of all, uh, nobody wants to suffer. No one wants to suffer. Everyone will try to find some kind of a solution if he's suffering. So this is what helps to root out the suffering, um, you know, completely. By stopping sinful life and getting out of the material existence altogether through this process of Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you very much for that nice elaboration. There's I was also just thinking about what you were saying there. That I mean, we have an issue. We have a problem. And so it is common sense that you'll try to find out the solution to your problem. That is the proper use of your high intelligence. The human form of life is such a nicer intelligence, albeit we now misuse that intelligence in so many nefarious ways. Now we're creating nice vaccines that will make people autistic, or I don't know, so many genetically modified vaccinations and phones that brainwash you and control your whole life and take away your personality. So we have very much higher intelligence. I mean, if you observe the difference between an animal's intelligence and a human's intelligence, although the same basic activities are there, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, still the human being has the ability to polish these activities quite substantially. So, I mean, no one's going to argue, humans have that higher intelligence, but the proper use of that intelligence is to figure out the solution to the problem that everyone faces, which is that we don't like to suffer, but still we're forced to suffer. There's not a single person who will say they like suffering, even if you take a masochist, or what are they called, a sadist. I think a masochist is the one who likes to do it to himself. So a masochist, he also doesn't like to suffer, because his ending his suffering, like, his bodily pain is suffering for him. Of course, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a masochist. I don't exactly know the psychology there, but some way or other, whatever way you look at it, we want to enjoy in whatever way, but we don't want to stop that enjoyment, right? So the various impediments offered by material nature, by the body, by our life circumstances, by what other people do to us in our life, they cause us to be unhappy. They impede our constant enjoyment, which we are so much longing for. And the reason for that is simply because of karma. And very clearly, this can be illustrated in our everyday experience. So, just like I am very fond, so I'm sorry to say, sometimes, of overeating on nice prasadam. So one thing that everyone can experience is that if you take just a little bit too much prasadam, a little too many puris, one too many sweets, you will get immediately indigestion, like I have now, and it will cause you a lot of discomfort. So then you have an immediate reaction. It is not that you can do something, have an action, and not get a reaction. That is also scientific. That is, I don't know exactly the laws of physics or something. Isaac Newton, I think, says that if there's for every action there is an equal. I don't quote me exactly. There is an equal reaction, right? So this is established in science. We're not exactly speculating here. We get it from Prabhupada, and also if you don't accept Prabhupada, you can see clearly, you can observe everything we're saying is also logically true, philosophically true. So if you overeat, you suffer tremendously. You get indigestion. You get burps. You can barely breathe. You get stomach aches, right? So this is a reaction. So this is for something very almost insignificant, just overeating. So every action we do has a reaction. What to speak of things like killing animals, killing mother cow, such a nice animal, provides everything we need. Nature has supplied it for positive development of the society, of one's self, the material side, the spiritual side. and still people are killing this animal in large quantities, in the millions, in slaughterhouses, in brutal ways, cutting off the head. Right? So if you think that you won't get a reaction from this, let's leave aside morality. Let's leave aside God. Let's leave aside any higher power. Let's leave aside even a government or some people who might think this is unjust and take action against you. Just we can see that nature gives a reaction to every action. So if you don't think that you will get some kind of reaction for this grievous these grievous acts, then that is a great foolishness. So it is the duty, like Prabhu was just saying, of a human being who has a higher intelligence, the ability to inquire, the ability to see the wrong in things, the ability to use his higher intelligence to solve problems. It is the duty to observe. We have a problem. We don't like to suffer. There are things that impede our suffering. Why is this happening, and how to stop it? And if we don't utilize the higher intelligence for this purpose, then we're no different from the animals that we are so fond of killing. Actually, because an animal doesn't have that ability to inquire. An animal cannot, even if you want to kill the cow, and the cow. Sorry, let's use a better example. Actually, the cows, I saw the cows, sometimes they are quite intelligent. They try to escape the slaughter lines. But, for example, sheep, if you put a sheep to line up in the slaughterhouse, generally, even though all the other sheep are getting slayed ahead of it, it won't try to escape. It's not going to question. It's going to go into the slaughterhouse. The lower intelligence is not there. Sorry, the higher intelligence is not there. A sheep cannot, or any animal, they cannot inquire, who am I? Why am I here in this world? Why am I suffering? And even if they can ask that question, they can't take up to any process of transcendentalism or any philosophical path or something. They can't change they have no power to change their destiny. They have no power to inquire about the higher truths of life. So if one doesn't utilize this higher intelligence, there's no difference between him and an animal, because animals are eating, and we are also eating. Animals are eating grass or stool or raw flesh or whatever it may be. Okay, so that is one thing. We're eating in a nice restaurant, but the activity, eating, is the same. Right? Animals are sleeping. We are also sleeping, sometimes even longer than the animals, hibernating like bears. So all the activities are the same, aside from the fact that we can inquire and we can try to get out of this current situation of suffering. So yeah, that is something, just a little something I wanted to expound upon on the point of the duty of knowledge that you were just talking about.
Yeah, thank you. That was very smart.
So maybe we have okay, so anyway, so people don't understand this point about reincarnation. It's the most integral point. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a Hare Krishna. Everyone, like I was just mentioning, everyone can see that this is basic, and it's important that we know this. We were just watching an evangelical Christian preacher. I'm not going to mention the name, but he has a very how do you say? Not abrupt. Brash. He has a very brash preaching style, but it is actually the truth. The truth of the matter. He says, yeah, I'm gonna. So he's speaking to people on the street, which is classic. I'm sure everyone has seen evangelical preaching. It's street intensive preaching. Grab people off the streets, kind of interrogate them and guilt trip them, basically, that you are a sinner. What you're doing is wrong. It's against the principles of the Bible or whatever, But what you're doing is wrong, and you will go to hell for what you're doing. There are consequences to your actions. It's not that you can just do whatever damn nonsense you like and get away with it. So this is very heavy, and although it's not necessarily backed philosophically, it is true. And anyone can understand, that you can't just do whatever nonsense you like and get away with it, just like Prabhu was also just saying. In relation to in connection with the government, right? The government is the man-made laws are created based on the natural instinct and the natural laws also. That's why anywhere you go in the world, even if the cultures have never met and never exchanged ideas, still anywhere you go, killing is wrong. It's almost like a moral absolute. Killing is always wrong, right? Even if the cultures have totally different cultures, and there are many cultural differences, still there are fundamental things. Adultery is wrong. Killing is wrong. Um, um, Intoxication generally is not viewed upon favorably. So this is in every culture, every religion has these particular. The details may be a little different, but generally these things are there. Because these are naturally things that you cannot get away with. I mean, you will be punished by these things, and these things are just these things are wrong. Why this is because it is you shouldn't, like Lord Jesus says in the Bible also, that you should do unto others as something you would have done unto yourself. Right, so. If you don't want to be killed, so why should you kill other people? People have a natural right to live. They're born. They get to exist. They get to, struggle for existence, or whatever. Why should you? You have no right to take that away from them. This is common sense, and also because every person also wants to exist. Doesn't matter what culture he's a part of. This is a law that you'll find everywhere. So. Yeah, these things are there everywhere, relating to karma. But karma is also a logical conclusion, and it answers many of the unanswered questions that, personally, I come from a Christian background also, so I was also struggling with the, I don't know if theology is the correct word, the theology of the Christian faith. There are so many unanswered questions, and one of the big things is why people are born in unfavorable circumstances.
No, this is actually not just Christians, but this is number one problem for the atheists. If you check some of these debates on YouTube about, from the atheists, how they trying to deny God, their number one objection is that if there is God, why there's evil in the world? And they just they think that, oh, this is it. This is why God doesn't exist, because there's evil, and if there's evil, then God is a retard who doesn't know how to arrange things properly. He's a sadist, and so on and so on. So the law of karma very nicely clarifies this point, and unfortunately all these atheists, they're not dealing with this argument, because mostly they deal with Christians, and the Christians, unfortunately, they don't have this sort of on this philosophical grounding of why there's sin and why God gives the different punishments in the form of whatever. Like, think of you mentioned that, right? Think of a small child, like a baby. He's not able to understand anything. He just came out of the womb, and after 2 days he dies. What is the purpose of this? In God's, how that innocent soul gets to uh, you know undergo such a horrible death without actually doing anything. But if we consider the law of karma, then we understand that baby is has a past in his previous life, and maybe he aborted a child. Usually this is what happens if you abort children. If you have illicit sex and then you abort the children, then you yourself in your future life will be aborted. This Prabhupada talks about this. People don't realize. They're so foolish. They say, well, what can be done? It's like we don't want a child now, so we're gonna kill the child in the womb. But that creates such a horrible suffering for the soul. In his next life, he's gonna get butchered by some abortionist doctor in the womb. Prabhupada says that he shall not see the light of the day. He'll be aborted continuously. Such a doctor, one who is performing the abortions, he will be continually for many thousands of lives. He's going to be aborted again and again and again. So people don't understand. They're foolish. It's like, oh, they're just fairy tales. Oh yeah. So how do you explain life after death? Is there life of? How do you know that there's no life after death in the? That's number one question. How can you be so sure that there's no life after death? There is life after the death of my childhood body. My childhood body is not here anymore. It's dead. It's not here. I have a different body. My childhood body is gone, dead and gone. I am still here. So if I leave my old body, why should I not be here?
Life after death is already there, and you already go to hell if you did something nonsense when you're a kid. You steal something, then you die. You get an older body, a more grown-up body later on, and then you go to jail and you experience hell. So life after death and hell you can experience in this life, in this current experience. So yeah, but the atheists, they also have this philosophy that there is nothing, there is no order, everything is chaos. Because ultimately, right, everything just comes from two particles of dust, however they explain that, smashing together out of nothingness, and then everything is manifested. Completely nonsense philosophy. Everything is just by chance, but what I say is not by chance. What I say is perfectly nicely calculated. So the atheists, they have this philosophy of chaos and that there's no order, which is, how do you say, an ostrich sticking its head in the ground kind of philosophy viewpoint on things. Because actually, if you look anywhere, you can see that there is order to everything. If you go to the beach, for example, the water will come up this big ocean, right? Monumentous, miles deep ocean, very powerful, but it cannot go any further than nature has ordained up to the shoreline. It can't go any further. It can't, crash onto the unlimitedly and cover all the countries and flood everywhere, right? The ocean, although it's so powerful, and they say that 90% of the world is made up by water. I don't know these statistics, how they even measure this, but it's still checked by nature. The sun is rising every day at the certain times, right? And setting at the certain place, and everything is operating based on the sunlight. And then when the moonlight comes, it nourishes the vegetables, right? There are so many complex intricacies and mechanisms and systems and ecologies within nature. Everything is so perfectly arranged, and everything is designed. It's very clear to see. There's also this in the Christian or many religious philosophies that intelligent design is the one of the evidences for God, that it cannot be possibly by chance, any of these things. So as we can see, even if you leave aside the existential aspect of it, there is order to every single thing. Why shouldn't there be an order to why people are born in certain situations and have certain things happen in their life and have certain mentalities and all? Like if you just explain that we're just chemicals, how if we're all just chemicals and we're all the same chemicals, right? Because life is just one chemical that they don't actually know what it is. If a person dies, they say it's just a chemical missing, but you can't find that chemical. Even if we ask you, you can't put the chemical back in the body and make someone alive again. So even though they don't know that chemical, they say it's just one chemical that makes us alive, or however many combinations, but it's one formula. Why are there so many varieties, right? Why are there so many complex, different personalities, and why are people born in different situations? So clearly there is an order, there is a law of nature that is deciding that this person gets born in this situation, this person gets born in this situation. Why would that particular aspect of existence, regardless of an intelligent designer, be lawless when we see everything else is governed by some kind of natural law.
Hare Krishna.
You have a quote there, Prabhu?
No.
Ah, okay. Okay, so now how do we get out of the situation? It's all good and well, meditating on the fact that it is factual that what comes around goes around. You can't escape your fate. What do? The man is the architect of his own. What is that? Architect of his own fortune. So we've established this very nicely. Please come, try to, debate us, philosophical. It is very difficult, right? Because this is observable truth. So anyway, how to escape it? Is it possible to escape it? Yes, it is possible to escape it. And Krishna makes it very easy. He says in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 18th chapter, right at the very end, Krishna concludes that Mokshishyami Masuchaha. If you surrender unto me, Krishna, God, I will protect you from all sinful reaction. And very easy to understand, because we were just talking about an intelligent designer. We are under the stringent laws of this material nature. Right? People think, I'm very free. I am God. I can do whatever I like. Please don't impose your rules and regulations on me. And they kick and they scream and they think this is an imposition on their freedom. But actually, it is not the fact. We are completely controlled by nature. You have to, if you have to use the toilet, you have to use the toilet, and you cannot indefinitely put off that urge. You have to eventually use. So you are controlled by the body. You have to eat. You have to sleep. These things are forced upon you. So where is your freedom? It is non-existent. You have no freedom. So this control means there must be a controller. There must be a supreme controller, someone who is organizing all of this. That doesn't mean to say that God is inimical. It's actually our desire to continue and try to enjoy in these material bodies. Krishna is simply fulfilling that desire in a very perfectly intelligent way. But as he is the controller of the nature, if you surrender to that person, if you please that person, then he naturally becomes inclined to free you from the clutches of that material nature. Actually, Krishna does not want people have an idea that God is some kind of, frustrated old man in the sky who made some world and people are enjoying and he can't enjoy. He has a very dry existence, God, sitting in his throne on a cloud, doing nothing, watching other people enjoy. And he's now envious and taking it out on people, making people suffer, being born as a person and then dying 2 days afterwards. But actually, this is not the fact. Krishna is always enjoying. In the spiritual world, he's always enjoying in Goloka Vrindavan with his eternal associates. He's enjoying blissful, loving, ecstatic, eternal relationships, which are full of unlimited spiritual varieties. They're not like mundane relationships where we try to exploit a person for some time, and if our sense gratification doesn't become met, then we kick out that relationship. Right? There are so many inebriaties, even in tight friendships. We fight, we hate each other. But there's so many breakups and like this. So spiritual relationships are not like that. Spiritual relationships are harmonious and perfect. So Krishna is enjoying in this way, and he would very much like for the living entities in this world to come back to the spiritual world. God is not trying to keep you here, but as long as you have that desire to enjoy, then you must take a material body. And ultimately, this is what the system of karma is operating for. It's a like a dispensary system. It's a what are they called when you have a you put the money in a machine and it drops like whatever sweet you like. What is that? Vending machine. Thank you. So the karmic system is kind of like that. It's a vending machine, You know, you have some desire to enjoy in some way, and then the system of karma produces a body in which you can enjoy. For example, people are very much fond of eating whatever nonsense they like to eat, right? It doesn't matter whether it's a fish that just spends its life eating stool. They like to eat that very much. They're also eating stool. So much rubbish people eat. So if you have no such discrimination in your eating, and that is how you like to enjoy, nature says, very well, if you like to do like that, what can I do? And it provides you a body of a hog. Because a hog also has no discrimination. Hogs, they eat tires, they eat stool, they don't care. So, because you don't care, now in this lifetime you eat whatever nonsense, no discrimination, then a hog's body is very suitable. You will enjoy very nicely in that body. So, Krishna has designed this system, and he is aloof from it. It's like a judge. A judge is not responsible for dealing out the punishment according to the laws, right? So, similarly, the nature is an unbiased system that simply fulfills the desires. He just gives you a body according to how you would like. But as I mentioned before, this enjoyment is ultimately an illusion because it's temporary. You will never be able to enjoy here properly. So the way to get out of this system is to surrender to God. Now, Prabhu, how do we surrender to Krishna?
Chant Hare Krishna and associate with the pure devotee of Krishna. Just like we have Srila Prabhupada. So you associate with a pure devotee, hear from him, and try to follow his instructions. And give up sinful life. That's what any spiritual master, provided he's bona fide, he will tell you that sinful activities will not, you have to give them up. He will not compromise that. Yeah, you can commit sinful activities. That's okay. Don't be so hard. Don't be so fanatical. Come on. Every pure devotee says this. Jesus says this. Muhammad says this. Srila Prabhupada says this. You must give up sinful life. And those who are not preaching this, they're not teaching this to their disciples. They're not bona fide spiritual master. They're losers. They're opportunists.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Actually, there are so many people. Of course, we don't want to name any names, but there are many philosophies that just say that the goal of life is to enjoy, and they encourage people in this pursuit just to increase the facility for material enjoyment, enjoying the senses. But yeah, like Prabhu just said very nicely, there's no bona fide teaching, whether it be Buddhism or Taoism or Mayavad or Vaishnavism or Christianity, whatever it might be. The whole idea is this world is suffering. Why we're in the world? Because you want to enjoy the senses, right? This is just a basic analysis of existence itself. You want to enjoy this world, so you become attached to the objects of this world. It's okay. And because you're attached to the objects of this, you must stay in this world. You must die. You must, okay, this is going a little deeper into our philosophy, but you must take birth again to continue to enjoy these attachments. So any bona fide teaching tries to remove you from the attachment to this world. That's just logical. And if someone tells you that no, continue to enjoy, they're basically damning you. So any teacher that doesn't immediately tell you to give up this nonsense way of living can be understood to be a cheater number one.
And his words are very pleasing to hear because, we have this tendency to enjoy material pleasures, so we don't even realize. Usually, these people, they seem very, very pleasing to our consciousness, and those who are genuine, quite the opposite. Our first impression is that we become disturbed. You see, so that example of Srila Rupa Goswami, a person suffering from jaundice, is very much applicable to, of course, he mentions in connection with the chanting, that in the beginning the chanting is like a bitter medicine. By chanting, you ultimately taste the sweetness. So in the same way, association of devotees initially, generally, not for everyone. Someone might immediately be so elevated that he understands the value and he feels the sweetness right away because of his practice from previous lives. We should not generalize. But generally, we should not generalize, but I say generally. Anyway, um, yeah, it is a shock when we that that is the first um, contact with the spiritual master. The spiritual master, he tells us something that is chastising. We hear his chastising words. That's the first sign of acceptance, the first symptom of acceptance, the first stage of acceptance is denial, right? So sometimes even we see that if there's not enough denial, that devotee is not serious. If he doesn't feel challenged by the strong words of the acharya, he's not really serious. Sign Too much devotion is a sign of a thief. We have the experience in our bliss preaching that it is good to immediately invite people to raise their objections, because if they keep them, they will go. These people will go go away. So immediately we try to provoke the discussion, the debate. Immediately show the cards on the table. Don't go around the bushes. I respect your religion. I thank you very much, guys. I enjoy very. You have a very nice religion. We're not interested in this. We have the absolute truth. You tell us why you don't want to accept it, and let us discuss. We want a real discussion, a real life or death discussion. We have dedicated our lives to this. We have given up our education, our families, our girlfriends, our drugs, our careers, everything. We have given up to pursue this Krishna consciousness movement. So we're not satisfied with the superficial I like you, you like me, this kind of discussion, right? We want a real thing, and we challenge you. We have dedicated our lives because we believe this is worthy of living for. So if you say, "Oh, this is not my hobby," well, it's not my hobby. This is not my hobby. This Krishna consciousness. Let's have a discussion on equal basis. We're challenging your comfortable position. Why are you stuck in your way of thinking and you don't want to change? And so anyway, different topic.
Yeah. So okay, very nice points. I'm just trying to think about how we can clean up the topic of karma. Yeah. So practically speaking, of course, chanting Hare Krishna and associating with devotee is the most practical thing that you can do. But you can also help spread this movement. That will also give you tremendous spiritual benefits. If you can't surrender your life like we have done, that is not for everybody. Not everyone is disposed. Not everyone came in contact with Krishna consciousness at a certain stage in their life. We were, contacted, and at least I was, when we didn't really have too much stuff going on. We had that margin, but not everyone has that. So if that is your situation, you can still participate in the movement, and it is on the absolute plane. It is on the equal level. If you give a donation of your hard-earned cash, if you give money to us so that we can continue to pay for the temple to go on, for programs to go on, for the preaching to go on, then you are also preaching. You're putting the wood in the fire that we are burning. So it is the same preaching, if you follow my point. So everyone can participate, and everyone can do the greatest welfare work for all people, which is to awaken this Krishna consciousness, to awaken this common sense that I'm gonna suffer here. Let me try to do something about it. You can actually have an impact on people's life. You can have an impact on your own life, and even if you can't surrender. So we are going to put donation links in the description of this podcast. Please click on the links, give a little something. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a token of appreciation. And even if it's a small amount, if everyone gives, it very much contributes to the mission, and tremendous things can be done if we can accumulate something.
So we would like to thank all our Bliss family, friends, Annapurna Mataji, Dr. Robin gave a nice donation, Lynn from Gibraltar, who else?
Many very nice, we say Prabhus and Matajis, masters and mothers, very nice people who from around the world. So you have something to say, Prabhu?
Brenda from Mauritius, Harley.
David Heiser, thank you very much, Harley.
Harley's a stalwart.
Tanya Lasker also just recently became a Patreon.
Really?
This is the Mataji.
Oh, okay.
And so thank you very much. There's another one of our options in which you can donate. You can become a Patreon, in which you're entitled to free ebooks compiled by Purja Prabhu. So nice ebooks that expound on the Krishna conscious philosophy, like Teachings of Lord Buddha. Is a very nice one that I personally had a lot of fun reading. It expounds on the various topics of Buddhism, the proofs against Buddhism, like that Prabhupada talks about in his books. And most recently, there was a book just released, very exciting. The proof, just released, not just made, but the proof of you was just released. No, it's not been released yet. Sorry, but it is going to be released very soon. It is newly edited and fresh. No one has ever read this book before. Not even myself. Okay, so a couple select very special people. Anyway, my point is that this new book is coming out. If you become a Patreon, you're entitled to download this free ebook. So thank you to all the nice Patreons. Also, Rebecca Ogema. I really hope I pronounced that correctly. Ogema. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you also, Leslie. Very nice. And Peter Kirshner. Consistently, Peter Kirshner is donating on both our platforms. GoFundMe. He's donating on GoFundMe, PayPal, Patreon. I mean, really, a stalwart donator. So thank you very much, Peter Kirshner. Also asking nice questions on the live stream. Sarup Habel, also very nice, an original disciple of Srila Prabhupada. We are very much honored for him to become a monthly supporter, especially at such a high tier rate on the Patreon. He's gone for our highest tier. So generous. So thank you very much, Sarup. I am struggling to think of the others. I'm very ashamed to say. Maybe you can help me, Prabhu.
The Patreons, Leslie.
Yeah, I said that. Leslie already. I can actually go to the Patreons here.
Yeah. So we had many supporters. Everyone gives a little something, and combinedly, we can manage to go on with our podcasts and our programs here in London. It's very much compromised now because we can't go out, but at least we're trying to work on some online preaching. So that is going on.
Yeah, sorry, some other contributors I'd just like to mention that Kanticha Corbett, very nice Buddhist nun, currently living in Thailand. She is one of our Patreons. Also, she's giving on other platforms. Thank you very much, Kanticha. She's also consistently watching our live streams, which you can find on Facebook. Expand the Bliss on Facebook. And also Billy Ann Hazel. She's one of our congregation members. She comes chanting with us, and she is supporting us in so many ways. So thank you very much, Billy and Kanticha, also for your consistent support. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much to everybody. If you want to become one of the Patreons, or you want to donate, all the links, as Maitreya said, are in the description. Please give a little something. Anything will do. €1 if you give, will not take offense. Quite the opposite. We'll appreciate any little gesture of support, and please help us. Hare Krishna.
Jay. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Bliss Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, you can help other people enjoy by sharing it with your friends. So, and also leave a like on the video, because that helps this video reach other people. So we would like to invite you again on this time. this will be probably released a little later this evening by the time of this recording. On Mondays, we do this as a regular gig. So please tune in and stay up to date on our other various social medias on Instagram, Facebook, which I'll also link down in the description below. So I think that's about all. Maybe you have anything else to say, Prabhu?
Chant Hare Krishna always, and associate with Srila Prabhupada by reading his books. That's all I can say. This is the topmost perfection. If you can do these two activities, you reach all the perfection. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, Hare Krishna Jai.